So like right here, it looked like you tried to jab, right?
Yeah, I think
Let's
so.
see. So you take that, right? And then, oh, I see what happened. Okay, so you parried, and then you try to jab after, and there's a gap. Right? And that's why you got hit by the crouch. So it's an interesting thing here. So, and I'll bring this up because it's probably interesting to you too, is that there's a large gap between a crouching light punch, which is -1, right? After the parry, and then a stand or a crouching medium punch, which is a 6-frame move, right? So there's actually a significant gap there. So if you try to press something a little bit late, this stand medium punch will counter hit you, right? So if you're trying to do, so the reason I do this, right, and try to explain it here, is that what a lot of people will do after parrying this is they'll do like a delay jab, which is exactly what you did, I think. Right?
That's exactly what I did, right?
Because you're stopping me from the walk up, right? Because now you're afraid of me walking up, throwing you, or trying to shimmy you, right? And normally a delay jab will beat this, right? So if I shimmy, right, I'll block it, and it'll be your turn now, or at least you stop my pressure. If I walk up throw, you'll counter hit me into full combo, right? The only thing, and if I continue with my light string here, it'll block, right? Because it's delay jab.
Yes.
But because I intentionally left the gap here, it allowed you to press that button, and then you get counter hit by it because you're trying to delay the timing, right? So when you see stuff like this where you're getting hit by a crouching medium punch or like a slow button, even though you delay jabbed, that's what's happening, right? And I think I do this to you more than once during the
Right. Is this interaction skewed in favor of you or me?
It's in favor of the offensive player, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the thing is, the OS you're doing here, the delay jab, works on the majority of the mix-ups that I would have as the offensive player, right? Because like I said, like I could go into 2 more lights, right, to try to frame trap you. I could back up to try to shimmy you, right, or I can try to walk up throw. And delay jab will beat all 3 of those options, right? So I'm selecting this option to beat the thing that I think is going to beat the 3 options that you think I'm going to go for.
Okay.
Right? I mean, I know it sounds stupid when I put it that way, but that's exactly what's happening, right? Is that like I think you're going to delay jab against this offense of sequence here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do
the
a delay
experience
button.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because if you mashed, right, you'd actually beat this, right? If you had mashed a crouching light punch here, like right after the parry, it actually would have beaten the delay button here. Pretty sure. So if we take a look at that, right? Right? Something like that, right?
Yeah, whatever it happens to be.
Right.
So my reward might not be that great, but at the same time, if you manage to beat it somehow by whatever means, it would either have to be a hard read because you're -1 on the jab, or you block and nothing happens anyway. But at least I'm out.
Yeah. Like as the offensive player, I'm committing to an option, right?
Yeah.
Right. In this situation, it's really I don't want to call it a 50-50, but I'm guessing you're going to OS or you're not going to OS, basically.
Okay.
So like I have to cover, and this is something that I think on offense you have to consider more and more, is that when you get into the higher levels, like where you're at right now, offenses become a lot more layered because you have to be able to account for the option selects that the defensive player is doing. Right? Like I keep talking about this one situation over and over again, but I think this highlights it really well, is that there is a single option that beats 3 options from the offensive player. But there's a specific counter to that option that is a pretty big reward for the offensive player, right? Like I get a counter hit, crouching medium punch to the drive rush here, right?
Yeah.
Or I would have if I was a better player. but you know what I mean though, right? Is that
Right. I know what you mean. Yeah.
So when you start thinking about offensive sequences like that, you have to be able to consider the defensive options that are available to the opponent and then try to pick which ones you want to try to beat, right? Half of that's reads, half of that's, knowing what the percentages are. The other half is like looking at this, seeing what the bar meter super situations look like.
Right.
But there are a lot of players that don't do that. They just look at, oh, I'm plus or I'm minus. I'm going to do XYZ thing.
Do something. Right.
Because that's quote unquote the right thing to do. And when they get blown up for it, they're like, oh, I'll post on Twitter about how BS Ken is, right? So, I mean, joking aside, but that's what happens, right? Is that like I think that this layer underneath is not being considered, right? Because like, oh, how is it that Ken is always able to be correct, right? How is he always correct in on offense or even on defense, right? And this is what's actually happening, is that you're covering multiple options, right? So
Okay. I remember this.
a good parry on the safe jump.
I didn't expect you to throw here is the thing, because I know that you know that I know that safe jump parries like those are what, -2?
Something like that. It's
Yeah,
not.
so I didn't. Damn. I definitely have first action. Probably. Because I recover immediately after this is done.
Yep.
And I should have. Yeah, I have first action.
Yeah,
so
you have 2 frames, right?
yeah, I thought you would think I would EXDP, but then I also thought that I know that you know that I know about that, so I was just gonna sit there and do nothing.
Yeah, so I actually delay tech.
Yeah, right.
All right, and the reason for this
is that normal?
Yeah, kind of. So what's happening here is I'm gonna beat a EXDP. I'm gonna beat a button, right? Because you're gonna push the button. I'm -2, right? So I can block here, right? And I'm gonna beat a throw, right? Because a lot of times what people do in a perfect parry in this situation is they'll back throw, right?
Yeah.
So the options in that scenario I think about is usually like a delay tech on offense, right? To stop 3 of those things from happening, or a neutral jump. But you had previously perfect parried my neutral jump after the perfect parry of my jump in, right? So I'm not going to jump again, right? I think that's what you're waiting. I mean, you're waiting for me to do something here, right?
Yeah.
And if I had jumped, you would have
ready to
anti-aired,
commit
right?
defense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, or at least parried me, right? And then if you parry the jump in or whatever, then it's, you know, it's a better situation than the safe jump parry.
Yeah.
But that's why I delay tech here, right? And
Is it still skewed for the safe jumper if they get parried?
well, I'm -2, so technically not, right? It's still your turn. Like if you had jabbed me here, it would have worked, right? I would have blocked, or if my delay tech was off, I would have gotten counter hit potentially. But I would have just blocked here, and then it's your pressure now, right? So you can do a light string to try to get out of it, or you can do the 2 lights into a mix-up, right? It's the safe jump ends my turn essentially, right? When you perfect parry, because I'm -2, so I can't do anything, right?
Yeah.
You could have went for throw there too, right? I think that would have been fine, but it is your strike throw mix because it's your point blank +2, right? So consider that option, right?
I'm definitely overcomplicating the interaction here. Then I should just keep it simple. -2.
Yeah,
so
+2. What, like if you think about what would you do in a +2 situation normally?
Let's do that.
Strike throw, right? Like
Okay.
yeah, no need to do anything more than. I mean, if I'm not showing anything, right? Like if I'm doing something complicated or going crazy, then it's different. But I do something simple as something as simple as a delay tech here to beat the offensive option that's coming, right? Because I know I'm minus, right?
Yeah.
So I have to do something. It just so happened that since you didn't do anything when I delay teched, it back through you, right? So